Ted Bundy?
Ted Bundy. The name sends shivers down the spine. He was not just a killer, he was a charmer. Bundy was intelligent, handsome, and articulate. He used these traits to his advantage. His charm was his weapon. With a smile and a soft voice, he could lure anyone. This made him one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Ted Bundy was a master manipulator. Bundy's story is chilling. It's a tale of deceit and horrifying violence. Understanding him means looking into the dark side of human nature, a side that hides behind a friendly face.
It works, and you've got to have faith it'll work, or else you'll be...
Ted Bundy was born on November 24, 1946. He grew up in a seemingly normal family in Burlington, Vermont, but his early life was filled with lies and secrets. He was raised by his grandparents, believing they were his parents. From a young age, Bundy showed signs of a troubled mind. He was intelligent and performed well academically. However, he struggled with social interactions, often feeling isolated and misunderstood. Bundy had a fascination with violence. He would later admit to feeling a dark urge from an early age. Despite this, he managed to maintain a facade of normalcy. His charm and intelligence masked his inner turmoil. His early life set the stage for his future crimes. The combination of intelligence, charm, and underlying darkness made him a dangerous individual. Ted Bundy's killing spree began in the 1970s. His victims were mostly young women, often college students. He targeted women who looked similar, long hair parted in the middle. This was no coincidence. Bundy traveled across several states. His crimes spread from Washington to Florida. He was methodical and careful. He often used his charm to gain their trust. He would pretend to be injured or ask for help. His methods were brutal. Bundy would abduct his victims, often in broad daylight. He would then take them to secluded locations. There, he would rape and murder them. His violence was horrifying and relentless. The geographical spread of his crimes made it difficult for authorities to catch him. He left minimal evidence behind. Each murder was meticulously planned. Bundy was always one step ahead. Ted Bundy had a specific modus operandi, a chilling and calculated method to his madness. He would often approach his victims with a fake injury, usually a cast or sling, to appear vulnerable and in need of assistance. This ruse made him seem harmless and non-threatening, a man who couldn't possibly be dangerous. Women were more likely to trust him and offer help, believing they were aiding someone in genuine distress. Once he gained their trust and they were within his grasp, Bundy would strike with ruthless efficiency. He often used blunt force to incapacitate his victims, rendering them helpless and unable to fight back. Then he would abduct them in his car, a vehicle that became a mobile prison for his victims. The horror didn't end there. The journey was just the beginning of their nightmare. He would drive to a secluded location, often a remote wooded area, to commit his heinous acts. Bundy was meticulous in choosing these spots. He would often return to the scene of the crime, a behavior that baffled investigators and added to his sinister profile. There he would perform acts of necrophilia, a grotesque display of his depravity. He would also groom and dress the bodies, a macabre ritual that highlighted his twisted mind. This gruesome behavior is a testament to his depravity and the depths of his evil. His tactics made him hard to catch. He was always one step ahead of the authorities. He was always changing his appearance, altering his hair, clothes, and even his mannerisms. Bundy was a master of disguise, able to blend into different environments seamlessly. He even tried to alter his voice, adding another layer to his deceptive persona. This made it difficult for witnesses to identify him, as he could transform his appearance and behavior at will, eluding capture time and again. Reaction of investigators and public. The brutality of Ted Bundy's crimes shocked the nation. Investigators were baffled. They had never encountered a killer like him. His intelligence and meticulous planning made him a formidable adversary. The public was terrified. News of the murders spread fear across college campuses. Women were afraid to go out alone. The media coverage was intense. Bundy's handsome face and charm added to the horror. Authorities scrambled to connect the dots. They were dealing with a phantom. Bundy left little evidence behind. His ability to evade capture was frustrating. Each new murder deepened the fear and urgency. The frustration was palpable. Investigators and the public alike were desperate for answers. The pressure to catch Bundy intensified. Yet he continued to slip through their fingers. The hunt for Ted Bundy was on. Arrest, escapes, and recapture. This chapter delves into the dramatic and often unbelievable series of events that marked Ted Bundy's interactions with law enforcement. Ted Bundy's first arrest came in 1975. It was a pivotal moment that would set off a chain of events, each more shocking than the last. He was pulled over for what seemed like a routine traffic stop. Little did the officers know, they had just apprehended one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. In his car, police found suspicious items that raised immediate red flags. Among the items were a crowbar, handcuffs, and a ski mask. These were not just random objects, they were tools of his gruesome trade. He was arrested but managed to escape custody, showcasing his cunning and resourcefulness. Bundy's first escape was nothing short of daring. It was a bold move that stunned everyone. He jumped from a courthouse window, a feat that seemed almost impossible. He was on the run for 6 days before being recaptured. The manhunt was intense, involving multiple law enforcement agencies. But this was not the end. Bundy's audacity knew no bounds. Bundy escaped again, this time from a jail in Colorado. His ability to slip through the cracks was alarming. He fled to Florida, where he resumed his killing spree, leaving a trail of horror in his wake. The murders at the Chi Omega sorority house were brutal and senseless, shocking the nation. He killed 2 women and injured 2 others in a frenzied attack that left the community in fear. His final capture came in 1978, bringing an end to his horrifying spree. Bundy was stopped by police in Pensacola, Florida. This time, the net closed in tightly. This time, there was no escape. The law had finally caught up with him. His days of evading justice were over. The courtroom became the stage for his final act. The hunt for Ted Bundy had finally come to an end. Trials and self-representation. Ted Bundy's trials were a spectacle. He chose to represent himself in court. This decision was both bold and foolish. Bundy relished the attention. He played to the cameras, charming the public and reporters. In court, Bundy was confident and articulate. He cross-examined witnesses and made legal arguments. But his charm could not hide the evidence. The testimonies of survivors and the physical evidence were damning. Bundy's behavior in court was erratic. At times he was calm and collected, other times he was angry and defensive. His true nature was on display. The monster behind the charm was revealed. The trials ended with convictions. Bundy was sentenced to death. His attempts to manipulate the legal system had failed. The jury saw through his facade. Justice was finally served. Confessions and execution. In the end, Ted Bundy confessed. He admitted to killing over 30 women. The true number may never be known. His confessions were chilling. He described the murders in graphic detail. Bundy's execution took place on January 24, 1989. He was put to death in the electric chair. Crowds gathered outside the prison, cheering. The nightmare of Ted Bundy was finally over. His confessions provided closure for many families. The pain of losing a loved one never fades, but knowing the truth helped some to heal. Bundy's death marked the end of a dark chapter. The impact of Bundy's crimes lingers. His name is synonymous with evil. His story is a reminder of the darkness that can hide behind a charming smile. The legacy of Ted Bundy is one of horror and tragedy.